Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Rose. Today we are going to talk about the cost of living in Madeira, and I think we are just going to do like Crete versus Madeira, the cost of living. Now before we go any further, I just want to give a disclaimer here. I am not a financial advisor, I'm not a budget planner, and this is just a rough idea of how much we have been spending living here on Madeira for the last 6 months. So I guess it's more like comparing how much we spent when we were in Crete and how much we are spending here on Madeira, and then we can see whether the cost of living on Madeira is higher than the cost of living in Crete. Of course, your lifestyle will determine how much money you'll be spending per month. We are just two simple people. We don't do things that are going to cost us a lot of money. Here, because we don't have our friends, we don't go out as much as we used to go out on Crete. On Crete, we used to go out. Sometimes we'll go out like 3 nights a week, because especially summertime, because our friends used to come during summertime, and of course we want to spend time with them. So I would say here maybe we are saving a lot, because we are going out like maybe even twice a month, or if that, or maybe even just once a month. Another issue I want to address is the issue of somebody who came on my video, the one I was talking about the cost of living on Crete. Actually, there were several people who are like, your information doesn't tell me how I need to structure my budget. I cannot tell you how to structure your budget, because I don't know what type of living you want. You know, the lifestyle will determine how much money you're going to spend. Now, living here in Funchal, the only thing I can say for sure is higher than Crete is the cost of housing. Okay, and I think this is something we already talked about. Even before we moved here, we did research. When we came here last year, we could see that the cost of housing is definitely higher than Crete, because if you are to get an apartment in Hanya, for example, and let's say you are paying 2,000 euros per month, I think that apartment will be something special in Hanya. But I think here in Funchal, depending on the zone where you are, if you are like really close to everything, I think 2,000 euros per month for a 2-bedroom apartment will not be something to write home about. Okay, so what I can say is, based on the things that we've been buying, the grocery shopping, utility bills, those things, I think there is no difference, to be honest. I feel like Madeira for the longest time has had this reputation where people are like, that is the most expensive island to live on, you know, like how can you even be thinking of moving to Madeira? That was us when we were talking to people. We are like, we're gonna move to Madeira. They're like, how can you move from Crete to Madeira? Like, oh my goodness. But I think it's actually not true. You know, the thing about Madeira being the most expensive island, or one of the most expensive islands to live in Europe, I think that is actually not true. I'm saying this based on the 6 months that we have lived here, and we are living in Funchal. So if we will talk about the cost of living in the city is, you know, raises the cost of living, in my opinion. Okay, so I think it's not that bad. Like, don't be scared. Like, if you are thinking of moving to Madeira, or you're thinking of retiring to Madeira, or maybe you're thinking Crete versus Madeira, you know, which one should I select? If the cost of living is a factor of your selection, I think you shouldn't be scared that, oh, Madeira will be more expensive. Yes, of course, if you're talking about the property prices, as I said, the housing, obviously buying a property here on Madeira will be more expensive maybe than buying a property on Crete, because Again, on Crete, it depends which area you are choosing, because Crete is a large island. It's a very big island, so you can find places where properties are cheaper, but then again you can find places where properties are more expensive. But because Madeira is just a small island, I think prices are just like almost the same whichever area you choose. And also there is a very high demand for properties, therefore that raises the prices. So cost of housing and cost of properties aside, your daily life, I don't think you should be afraid of, I'm gonna be spending more money than I would spend in Crete, depending on what you're buying. I mean, come on, if you're having champagne and caviar and lobster, then of course that will be expensive anywhere. So if you're just like, let's say, two simple people who just lead a simple life, then I don't think the cost of living on Madeira will be so different to the cost of living on Crete. The only thing you have to keep in mind is the cost of properties and rent. If you're going to rent, obviously I think that will be higher. Again, depends on the area. When it comes to renting, it depends on the area where you're renting. If you're outside the city, I think it will be a little bit cheaper than being in the city. But honestly, I think if you are just living a normal life, I think per month for two people, I'm talking about groceries, you could spend, let's give it 500 euros per month. Yes, just comfortably, you're not stressing. You are buying whatever, you are buying Madeira wine. I think Madeira wine is like the best, and yet is so cheap. So if you like wine, wine is not expensive. We already talked about beer. We said beer is a bit more expensive here on Madeira than Crete. Okay, that we have noticed for sure. But wine, when it comes to utility bills, water, electricity, I think it's the same. The only thing we noticed was a bit more expensive was the cooking gas, because on Crete we used to buy a bottle of cooking gas for 20 euros. Here I can see it's 30 euros. So that is expensive here for sure. But generally speaking, I don't think the picture you have in your mind when it comes to Madeira and the cost of living, I think it's not accurate, because that's the same picture I had based on the research, based on speaking to people, based on everything. But now I'm hands-on, like we are going to the supermarkets, we are like here, we are just on the ground, and we can see after 6 months and looking at our budget, there is not much difference. Okay, it's not that expensive living on Madeira. If you can sort out the housing, if you can manage to, if you want to buy property, if you can manage to buy the property, then it's not a problem, honestly. The only issue I find here on Madeira is that because the property prices have gone so high, and this is something that I discussed with my teacher. As I said, I'm in school now, I'm learning Portuguese. Wish me luck. One of the things I discussed with my teacher was the cost of property going so high that the law is becoming too difficult for the locals, especially the young people. And we spoke about this previously, even as we came here on holiday, and I told you that I spoke to young people who work in these shops when I would go shopping, because I'm a content creator, so I'm trying to gather information. And I told you that one of the things the young people are complaining about is them not being able to get, let's say, an apartment here in Funchal or somewhere near Funchal, or even not being able to sort of like put some money together and down payment for a house or something. It's so high that they are not able to do that. And unfortunately, a lot of local people are opting to move back to the mainland, and I think that is not a good thing, because I feel like that will change the culture of the island, because now it will be just people from other places moving in. I think it's very important that the local people stay here. It's very important that we learn Portuguese and maintain the culture of the island and the culture of the people. It's very important that we respect the people by learning their language. Okay, I'm sorry, I sound like I'm preaching. But anyway, I was just going to say that the cost of housing and the high property prices are actually pushing the locals out of the island. And that is because there are a lot of people from outside the country, outside the island, that are buying properties. And of course, I say the demand is so high that, you know, that's what happens. So anyway, on this video, I just wanted to touch on the cost of living and just to, you know, put your mind at ease when it comes to the cost of living on Madeira. It's not what you think. It's not as high as you think, because even as we were coming here, we were quite scared. We were like, oh my God, let's go and see how it's gonna be. But after a couple of months, we noticed it's not that bad. Like, what is the issue? Actually, some things are cheaper here. You know, food stuff. You know, you find things are cheaper here, so it's not that bad, honestly. If you're planning to move to Madeira, don't be scared. Don't be scared. It's doable. If you want to retire here, it's doable. And yeah, sure, absolutely, come and join us. My name is Rose. Thank you so very much for always tuning in and watching my videos and commenting. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you have a question about Crete, if you have a question about Madeira, now I think I am capable of answering some of your questions, because I think after being here for 6 months, I have learned a few things. Of course, you know that I had lived in Crete for 9 years, so I can answer a lot of questions about Crete. So leave your questions below, leave your comments below. Tell me if you have been considering moving to Madeira or moving to Crete. There's somebody who was like, I'm trying to weigh my options. Should I move to Madeira or should I move to Crete? Because those are my 2 favorite islands in Europe. So I'm not sure. So I hope you'll find this video useful. And if you have specific questions, please ask me. If I don't have the information, I can gather information for you. The good thing about Portuguese people that I have interacted with, they want to help and they give information, like they don't gatekeep. So if I don't have the answers, I will find the answers for you. So thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you on my next one. Bye bye for now.